And we're going to get into all of that. I'm going to cover some things after we watch this video together just to make sure that we're all on the same page. So let's get started. Okay, it says, it's just like a girl and a sound, and then it's text on the screen, so I'm going to read it to you guys so that you can read it, because sometimes it's so tiny. It says, the truth is that most women who claim to be high value are not. You have nothing to offer apart from the coochie, toxicity, and attitude. You cannot heal, you cannot cook, you can't clean, you're not nurturing, you're not intelligent, you're not creative, not patient, and neither soft. You're not loyal, not empathetic, you hate kids, and your body count looks like your phone number. Nothing about that is feminine or high value. So, starting off with a bang, with that being said, I also want to say that normally if people have to claim that they are something, they have to shout from the rooftops that they are something, well, I am high value, well, I am an alpha male. Usually they're not. A person who talks about how funny they are all the time probably isn't actually funny. A guy who talks about being an alpha male probably isn't an alpha male. The same here goes for a woman or a person who claims that they're so high value. When you are something, you don't feel the need to like prove it or shout it or say it to everyone. You just are that thing, right?
You are.
It doesn't need any explanation. Normally, if you're claiming that you're so high value, normally you're not. But with that being said, I think something is high value because of the demand for it, right? To a lot of people, a Rolex is high value because of the demand on the market for it. They're hard to get. Or an AP or whatever watch you want to talk about. There are so many different things or, industries that you could kind of go into to further explain what high value is. I do think it's a little bit more of a gray area when we're talking about people, because we're all obviously different. We're not all the same. We all don't want the same things. So what might be high value to one person might not be high value to another person. So it's kind of all about down to the individual. So I definitely think that that's important to note before I get started here. I also think that there's a difference often between what men consider high value and what women consider high value. So in dating specifically is where people typically deem themselves as high value or not. A high value man, a high value woman. And that's kind of decided by the opposite sex. So again, I do think that there's often a difference between what men consider a high value woman to be and then what women consider a high value man to be. I also think that being desired and being valued are two totally different things. So I was going to say, being high value is all about the demand and the desire for it. But that's not necessarily true, because I think a lot of guys would sleep with any girl, but they wouldn't marry any girl, right? So they would marry the girl that they think is high value, and she would have those traits that he's looking for, and the traits that a man is looking for in a woman,
beauty,
for someone just
loyalty,
to have fun with or
intelligence,
with, might be very different than the woman that he chooses to marry.
kindness.
And I think also the same goes for women. I'm not saying that to be sexist or to paint women in a certain light, but I think that we all kind of do this with the value that we want something to bring to us, whether it be short term or long term. When a woman is young, she might date a bunch of really attractive guys who aren't making that much money, but when she gets a little bit older, she might decide, you know what, I care a little bit more about how much money he's making over how attractive he is, because I'm looking at my life long term here, and I want a man who is able to financially support me and my family. So women do this too. It is not just something that men do. We all have our preferences. I'm not going to go too far into this because it's just a wormhole, so I digress. But just in general here, I think, entitlement is not high value. Toxicity and chaos are not high value. A lack of respect is not high value. Putting in no effort to your health and well-being or the way that you look is not high value. Not taking care of yourself is not high value. And I think that collectively, most people would agree about that. Again, it comes down to the value that you're looking for someone to bring into your life. But a high value individual, when you're thinking about, dating, the dating market, would add value to your life somehow. So a lot of women who I see online claiming to be high value or talking about how they're like a high value boss babe, independent, don't need a man, they're women who do really well financially. And sadly, that's just not really something that men care about when they're looking for a woman. I think a man would date a woman that worked at Cracker Barrel if she was kind and supportive and encouraging and a good person and took care of herself and was a great girl. Like, I don't think that men care about that. Actually, I know from interacting with all of you in my comment section that men just really don't care about that as much, especially if they're doing well off for themselves. They value other things in women. So women might value a man making a lot of money. Like, that would be a high value man to a woman, but that would not be a high value woman to a man. Make sense? I think self-respect and taking care of yourself is high value. Kindness is high value. Being encouraging and supportive is high value. Being intelligent is high value. Being creative is high value. So again, there are so many different traits and characteristics that people might be looking for in a person. Loyalty is high value. Again, encouraging and supportive and kind, those are all high value traits that a lot of people are looking for. Funny could be high value to some people. So again, it really comes down to the individual. But really, this idea that, you know, if you're a woman who makes a ton of money, you're very financially successful, I don't know, you are good in the bedroom, you sleep with a lot of guys, like, a lot of the time that's not something that a lot of men consider to be a high value thing. Now, everyone is different. There could be men out there who don't care about that at all, or they would totally marry you if you're like that. It really just depends on the individual. But the reason I wanted to make this video is just because I think a lot of times men and women don't understand what the opposite sex is looking for. I think, you know, women are looking for someone who is financially independent, who can take care of himself and maybe a future family, who is kind and loyal and funny and a good partner. And I think men are looking for someone who is kind and encouraging and supportive and takes care of herself, and whatever. And I think understanding what the opposite sex is looking for is helpful if you're in the dating market and you're single, obviously, because I think a lot of women think just because they're financially successful and they sleep with a ton of people that makes them, wife material or wifey material. And maybe to some it is, but to a lot of people it's not. And then they say things like, well, all men suck, or where are all the good men? Well, you're not really choosing the good ones because you're not really being someone that the good ones would want to be with. And I really don't say that to be, again, sexist or hurtful. I would say the same thing about men who claim that they're so high value when they aren't making any money, they're not working, they're not trying to work, they don't take care of themselves physically, mentally, or emotionally, and they talk crap about women all the time and are horrible to women, and then wonder why they have no success with women. Well, I can tell you why. Because you're not being someone that the person you want to be with would want to be with. And I think it really does come down to being what you want to attract. And, if you're going to have this unrealistic checklist for the person that you want to be with, you better have the same dang checklist for yourself. If you're going to have all these crazy standards, you better hold yourself to those standards too, if you want to be with that person. And you want that person to want to be with you. And we're allowed to have our preferences. If you're a guy who wants to be with a feminine, kind, encouraging, supportive, nurturing woman, that's fine. There is nothing misogynistic about that. And if you're a woman who wants to be with a guy who is masculine and, financially independent and loyal, there's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to want that. I think it's really just about being realistic about what you're looking for and where you kind of line up with that. And genuinely being what you want to attract. And understanding that if you want this certain person, you're thinking about your dream person in your head, would they want to be with you? And if not, what can you do to be, a better you? Or be someone that they would want to be with? Now, I'm not saying to completely change yourself or to be something that you're not, but you gotta put in a little bit of effort, right? Men and women included. Women aren't entitled to the best man out there just because they make money. Or just because they sleep with people. So really, the high value topic it's not black and white. I don't think it's black and white, again, because we're all looking for different things. What I consider to be a high value man, another woman might not. I think that being loyal is high value. And some might argue, if a man just makes a lot of money, then he's high value. So understanding that it really does come down to an individual level for certain things. You're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. There's someone out there that will like you. And another thing I want to point out is that a lot of the time when I'm on social media, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, all these women are talking about what they want in a guy, right? They want a guy who's 6 feet, who makes six figures, who is funny, who dresses awesome, who is just the bee's knees. But then when a man says his preferences, he's like the worst person ever. So I also just want to say that you're allowed to have preferences on what you want in a person. But I think being realistic about your standards and preferences is also important. And understand that preferences and standards are different things. You know, sometimes you have to make a little bit of a compromise. If there are only 2% of men between the ages of 20 and 40 who are over 6 feet making more than 6 figures, you might have to date someone who's 5'8", okay? Or you might have to date someone who's making 40K. You gotta, it's a give and take, right? You can't have it all. And that's another thing too, is just this unrealistic idea that we all are entitled to exactly what we want. The statistics speak for themselves. I don't think I need to say it. But anyway, I'm just ranting about the whole dating climate at this point, so maybe I'll make a different video talking about different things so that I'm not just blabbering on and you guys can follow what I'm saying. So let me know what you guys think down below. What are some traits that you look for in a woman if you're a man watching? If you're a woman watching, what are traits that you look for in a man? What would you consider to be high value? Again, I really try to look at this in a balanced way, but I think sometimes it can be difficult when we put labels on things, right? We always want to label things. We always want to cling to a label or a category or put ourselves in a box, and sometimes it's just really not that black and white. Like, there are sometimes gray areas, but just understand that, you know, what you consider to be high value doesn't have to be what Joe Schmo down the street considers high value. You can have your preferences and standards, but be realistic about it, right? So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. Share your opinions. If you liked this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about traits that attract women according to science. Women are obviously attracted to certain features that men have. This is nothing new here, the same way that you guys are naturally attracted to features that women have. Again, nothing new, but don't get it twisted. This is not all that matters when it comes to attraction and what women look for. There is far more to consider than how chiseled your abs and jawline are, I promise. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about traits that attract women. Step number 1, don't call yourself an alpha male. You heard it here first. So before we get into the video, I talk a lot on my channel about confidence, and when it comes to intimacy, we all want to feel confident, but for a lot of guys, erectile dysfunction gets in the way. This issue obviously affects people differently, but this is something that over 52% of men will experience. More men experience ED than not. If this sounds like something you've dealt with, I recommend finding a solution with today's sponsor, Roman. Roman is a digital health clinic for men that can connect you directly with a licensed U.S. healthcare professional for a free telehealth consultation from the privacy of your own home. Roman provides its effective FDA-approved treatments for ED. All treatments depend on getting a prescription after a medical evaluation by a doctor or nurse practitioner on the Roman platform. The initial online visit and all follow-ups are free, doses start as low as $2, and it's incredibly convenient and affordable. Shipping is also free and always discreet. Roman also deals with premature ejaculation, hair loss, and more concerns for men. So if you think this is something that will help you, head to getroman.com/Courtney to complete your consultation and find out if this is the right treatment for you. By using my link, you will get $15 off your first month of ED treatment, which benefits us both. Again, that's getroman.com/Courtney. All right, so I'm going to go through a couple of traits, and then I'm actually going to go through an article with you guys at the end, and we're going to see what science says about attracting women. Number 1, direct and decisive. Women love a man who can take the lead, be direct, take charge. I know it probably seems like we don't because of social media and everyone acting like we don't like that, but we do. Being direct shows confidence and security in yourself, and being direct is very different than being aggressive. I think a lot of times people talk about toxic masculinity, and being direct is seen as a bad thing because people think that it means that you're aggressive, but that is not true at all. Confident men are able to pursue women and go after what they want. A guy who goes after what he wants is sexy, and almost all girls that are into guys want to be pursued. Being direct includes honesty, authenticity, and being able to express yourself assertively. Again, assertively and aggressively are very different things. When a guy takes the lead and initiative, it makes the girl feel safe and secure and allows her to embrace her femininity. Of course, women have to put in the work too, and I'm not saying that you guys should be bending over backwards for someone who isn't willing to do that for you too, but it's sexy and attractive when a man puts effort in and shows interest. Women are drawn to confidence, a sense of humor, and success, all of which require a man to be direct, straightforward, and open. Women like a man who leads, plain and simple. Number 2, we have protect. Women like to feel safe, as I mentioned, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I want to feel secure, said every woman ever. And I've said in past videos that women like to feel secure, and this is why women often go for someone who is financially independent or financially stable, because they want that security factor when it comes to money, even if she is well off financially on her own. And this, my friends, is where hypergamy comes into play, and I've done an entire video about it if you want to go check it out. I think I explain things a little bit further than I will here today, but generally speaking here, this is a huge reason why women tend to go after men who are financially independent, who are financially stable, even if they make enough money on their own, because they want their partner to be as well. Now, this is not the only reason why women go after men who are financially stable. There's a big difference between wanting to feel safe and secure in a relationship and build your wealth together, and only going after someone because of their wealth. There are gold diggers out there, and there's a huge difference between the two that I'm talking about. Evolutionary psychologists say this is because women want a man who can provide for them. Just to break it down plain and simple here. And I also want to highlight that there's far more that goes into this protect category here than just finances. Again, this is also physically and emotionally. I don't want you guys to think that finances are the only way that you can protect someone, especially in today's day and age. That makes absolutely no sense. When a woman is able to make enough money for herself, I think a lot more goes into it than just what you can provide for someone financially. Are you loyal? Are you trustworthy? Are you a man of integrity? I mean, there are so many different things that fall into this, and those are the traits that make men attractive to women. It's not just being rich or having the most money in the world. Of course, those men probably do find it easier with women because there are women out there who are only looking for that and who only care about that. But generally speaking here, when we're not just talking about the gold diggers of the world, women want to feel safe physically, emotionally, and financially. And it's important to be able to provide a balance of all of those and not just finances. I know that times are changing and things are changing, and people probably have mixed feelings about this one, but I think our evolutionary past continues to bring us to this point of wanting to feel safe and secure and protected by our partner, even though we are able to provide a lot of those things for ourselves. Number 3 is purpose, and purpose is what oozes confidence. And it's not necessarily about what your purpose is, it's more about just having it. A guy who is striving to be his best self and reach his full potential is attractive and 100% stands out to women. This could be in regards to your physical fitness, getting a degree, starting a business, whatever it might be, live your life with a purpose. Not only to attract women here, this is just for yourself in general, and this is what I honestly think makes men more attractive to women is when they become better versions of themselves. When you are a better you are better for everyone around you. When I'm a better me, I'm better for not only myself, but also everyone in my life, including all of you. You become a better partner, a better friend, and just a better person in general. Be a man with a plan and understand that having a purpose creates confidence, builds your self-esteem, it creates discipline. When you create discipline, when you keep promises that you make to yourself, you boost your confidence and your self-esteem. And again, you become a better you for everyone around you and yourself. And number 4, intelligence. Knowledge is power. Again, this is nothing new here. Intelligence is sexy. It's attractive when a guy knows what he's doing and knows what he's talking about. If you can bring something to a conversation, whether it be passing on knowledge, the curiosity to learn about what the other person is talking about, it makes you more interesting and magnetic to them, which in return leads to a better and more meaningful conversation that she's going to walk away from feeling like you are the bee's knees. So while I was doing research for this video, I found something that was really interesting and I wanted to share it with all of you. So it says, according to a 2007 study performed in Germany, men place far greater importance on the attractiveness of their mates than females. And while women were still drawn to attractive men, they were more likely to consider dating less attractive individuals if they possessed other qualities they prized. Another study, this time in 2013, demonstrated that mate selection among women is highly contextual. In the experiment, men and women were told to evaluate one another's attractiveness during a speed dating event. The results showed that women with higher BMIs, body mass index, or lower facial attractiveness were less selective than their thinner, more attractive counterparts. Furthermore, these women became even less selective when there were more attractive females in the room. In this case, it was her attractiveness, not his, that influenced her selection. I thought that was so interesting. While looks are important to women, they typically base their mate selection on more contextual factors. Surprising examples include the availability of competition and their estimates of their own attractiveness, which I thought was so interesting because I always get the comments of, women care more about looks than men do, and I think it comes across that way often because women seem to have far more options than men do, especially when we're talking about things like online dating or, social media in general. I do think that online dating and social media have increased the importance of attractiveness, but generally speaking, I really do think that women think about other things more so than the way that a man looks. And look, being attractive definitely helps you find a partner, again, especially because looks are becoming more important as we spend more time on dating websites and social media, where the way that someone looks is like the first thing you notice, and you don't really have a lot of other things to go off of besides the way that someone looks physically. Your first impression when you're online is much different than it would be if you're meeting someone in person. When you're in person, you get to experience someone's mannerisms and their personality, and they can be more charismatic in other ways, and you're noticing things that go farther than just the way that they look. So this is another reason why I think it's so much better for you guys to be meeting people in person versus online, because unless you are a very attractive person online or you take incredibly good photos, it's tough out there, and I understand that as a woman, and so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that looks don't help, but I will sit here and be honest with you and say that they are not everything, especially if we're talking about meeting someone in person. And I've had the question come up a lot of, what do women care more about, looks, game, or status? And I would argue that looks are at the bottom of the list, again, if we're talking about in-person interactions. When you're thinking about something that's online, obviously looks are going to be at the top of the list, looks and wealth probably. And then once you get your foot in the door, then the game comes into play where you can kind of banter and go back and forth and all of that. I just think the whole thing is really interesting. I'm very into human interaction and why we think the way we do and why we are attracted to certain people and why we aren't attracted to other people. So it's really interesting for me to talk about in videos like this. So I also found this article that I want to go through with all of you. So this article is 9 science-backed ways men can appear more attractive to women. The first one is look for the universal signs of flirtation. Rutgers University anthropologist and best-selling author Helen E. Fisher says that from the depth of the Amazons to the cafes of Paris, women signal interest with a remarkably similar sequence of expressions. As she shared at Psychology Today, it goes like this. First, the woman smiles at her admirer and lifts her eyebrow in a swift, jerky motion as she opens her eyes wide to gaze at him. Then she drops her eyelids, tilts her head down and to the side, and looks away. Frequently, she also covers her face with her hands, giggling nervously as she retreats behind her palms. This sequential flirting gesture is so distinctive that Evel Ebsfeld, I hope I'm saying that right, was convinced it is innate, a human female courtship ploy that evolved eons ago to signal sexual interest. So watch for the signals. I mentioned it before in past videos about how to tell someone is attracted to you. That's more of a signal of attraction, not necessarily what women are attracted to. Look for someone in your league. Men and women are attracted to people who are as attractive as they are. If you go for someone roughly equally to you in attractiveness, it avoids 2 things. If they are much better looking than you are worried about them going off and having affairs, he says. If they are much less attractive, you are worried that they could do better. Present yourself as high status. In 1969, University of North Carolina sociologist Glenn Elder found that looks and wealth tend to find one another. Namely, good-looking women tended to settle down with less attractive but wealthier men. Again, another reason I tell you, looks don't matter as much as you think they do. Since then, it's become a well-confirmed finding in the social sciences. Most recently, a 2010 study found that men pictured with a silver Bentley Continental GT were way more attractive than those pictured with a red Ford Fiesta ST, and a 2014 study found that men pictured in luxury apartments were more attractive than those in a control group. Why the attraction to resources? Evolutionary psychologists say it's because women want a mate to provide for them. Look older. Psychologists call it the George
Look older.
As the 2010 study of 3,770 people showed, women often preferred older men as they become more financially independent. They like older guys even more. We think this suggests greater financial independence gives women more confidence in partner choices and attracts them to powerful, attractive older men. Evolutionary psychologists say that younger
Probably
women
true.
and older men often pair up because while fertility only lasts from puberty to menopause in women, it starts at puberty and can extend long into midlife for many men, and they have a greater opportunity to accumulate status and resources. Next one is grow a light beard. While some claim the beard trend is over, the research says it's not. According to a 2013 Australian study, the most attractive beard length is heavy stubble, which comes after about 10 days of growth. Yeah, and you know what? Right now, at this point in time, June 2022, it might be a mustache because of the new Top Gun movie. Just saying. Facial hair correlates not only with maturity and masculinity, but also with dominance and aggression. An intermediate level of beardedness is most attractive. It only takes a bit of maintenance to keep that 10-day beard all the time. I actually do agree with that. Also, the older I get, the more I'm attracted to facial hair. I remember in high school, I really didn't like facial hair at all, and I was really into, the baby face and clean-shaven men. But the older I get, I do like facial hair, and I still like clean-shaven, but we love a little 5 o'clock shadow. Build muscle, but not too much. A 2007 University of California at Los Angeles study found that women are more likely to have short-term relationships with guys who have big muscles. Sexual characteristics like masculinity are cues of genes that increase offspring viability or reproductive success. Less muscular men were thought to be better fit for long-term relationships. You know what, guys? When I did my street interviews and I was talking to those Italian girls, one of them said, You date the guy with the six-pack, you marry the man with the dad bod. It's kind of funny. The next one is be kind. One of the most robust findings in psychology is the halo effect, a bias where you unconsciously take one aspect of somebody as a proxy for their overall character. It is why we think beautiful people are good at their jobs even when they aren't. Yeah, pretty privilege is a thing. The halo effect also works in other ways too. A 2014 Chinese study found that people who had positive personality traits like kindness and honesty were rated as more attractive than those with negative personality traits like being evil or mean. Even though beauty is an assessment of fitness value, there is no reason why assessment of fitness needs to be purely physical. Being kind makes you look like you'd be a stable, worthwhile mate. Yep, totally agree. Talk about your emotions. Oh, the manosphere is not gonna like this one. Contrary to the 1950s ideal of the aloof breadwinner, women are into men who can talk about their feelings. When men are vulnerable, women find them more desirable both emotionally and sexually. Being vulnerable will not hurt men's masculinity, just the opposite. Emotionally well-rounded men are more desirable to women and are ultimately likely to be emotionally stable and better long-term partners than men who are closed up and unwilling to share intimate parts of their lives. I've done an entire video about vulnerability when it comes to attracting women, and just in general, because I think there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to vulnerability with men. So definitely be sure to go check that out. I'm not going to get super far in detail with it here because this video is already way too long. Wear red. Okay, Hallie and I reacted to an article, and one of the things it said to do was wear red, and both of us were kind of like, I don't know if I've ever seen a guy wear red, and anytime I've seen a guy wear red, it was always like the black suit with the red tie or red bow tie, which neither one of us liked the look of. So the red thing is interesting, but I'm going to read this. A 2010 cross-cultural study with participants from China, England, Germany, and the US found that women are most attracted to men wearing red. It's been a symbol of status since at least the Roman times, when the most powerful men were called koshinati. Am I saying that right? The ones who wear red. Red works for women too. So I know for a fact red works for women. Men love a woman in a red dress. I think that's like
yes, we do.
polarizing thing a woman can wear. So it's interesting that women feel the same about men. I don't know if I feel that way. I need to see a man wearing red. Okay, that wraps up the article. I would say I agreed with almost all of them.
Red dress with a long slide in the side.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about 7 habits that are making men weak and unattractive. So habits can make or break you. I've done a couple videos on habits in the past. What are some good habits? What are some bad habits? And these 7 habits I'm going to talk about today definitely aren't doing you any favors, so let's get right into it. Number 1, we have a sedentary lifestyle. Not moving your body, not making working out and moving your body a priority for you is something that you will most certainly regret later. And this is quite literally a dangerous habit. With anything and everything available at our fingertips, you might be working from home, maybe you're playing video games, you're sitting on the couch on your phone, less people are making moving their body and working out and staying active a priority.
True.
This is obviously horrible for your physical health and well-being, but it's also just as detrimental to your mental health and well-being as well. Working out is like a natural antidepressant. If there's ever a day where I wake up a little bit anxious or maybe I'm in a funk, all I have to do is work out and I automatically feel a million times better. Now, I'm not saying it's going to cure all of your problems. You know, if you're having a bad day because of something that happened, it might not necessarily, magically fix all of your issues, but it definitely makes you feel a lot more at ease, a lot better. It's productive, it's motivating, it's something that is going to get you in a great state of mind for the rest of the day. And I just think that a lot of people underestimate the power of staying active and moving your body, going to the gym, going for a run, taking a workout class. This will set you up for success, and so many people just straight up aren't doing it. So recently I actually got a personal trainer, and it's sound dramatic, but it actually has changed my life. So if you're someone who maybe know where to start mentally, just trust me, I promise. So let this be your sign to kick your sedentary, lazy lifestyle to the curb and start being active, moving your body, and prioritizing your health. And that kind of leads me into my point number 2 here, which is neglecting your appearance. And I know you hear this and you think that might sound a little bit shallow, so let me explain. This goes beyond just surface level importance. Having good grooming habits, taking care of yourself, taking care of your hygiene, showing up and dressing well, all play into the way that you feel about yourself and also the way that you are perceived and viewed by others. This could be negatively impacting your success, your love life, your career. I mean, so many different facets of your life that you might not even consider how this might affect them. And why does it negatively impact those things? Well, because it also negatively impacts the way you feel about yourself and your confidence. You know, when you put on an outfit that you just feel confident and amazing in, it probably makes you feel like $1,000,000. Look good, feel good. I'm a firm believer in that mentality. I definitely can tell the difference when I dress well and put a little bit of makeup on and really show up for myself versus if I stay in my pajamas all day and work with my hair up, you know? So just putting in that extra effort really goes a long way. And while we're on the topic of making sure that you're not neglecting yourself, fall is in full swing, so it is time to prep for the chilly fall weather. With your wardrobe, of course, but also with your skin. Just like wearing more layers to protect yourself from the cold, you have to do the same thing for your skin. The cold fall to the outside, but also the way that it functions and feels on the inside. Health is wealth. You really have to start fueling your body when he loves it. So nutrition obviously not only affects the way that your body looks on the outside, but also the way that it functions and feels on the inside. Health is wealth. You really have to start fueling your body with the nutrients that it needs. Cut the junk food. Stop going to McDonald's every day. Seriously, guys, this is something that I see so many people do. Not just men, women do this as well. Actually, I think women do all the things on this list as well, but my videos are obviously, catered towards men, so that's why the video is framed that way. But these are mistakes that everyone makes, and it's okay to enjoy a meal every now and then, go out to eat, get something yummy, have a nice little dessert, but really pay attention to the way that it affects you and the way that you're functioning, because I think a lot of people don't understand the correlation between the food that you're eating and then the way that you function and the way that your brain works even. Poor diet can make you sluggish, it can make you moody, it can make you depressed, and so many other bad things that you just want with your body with trust don't take care of themselves. They're eating junk food or moody or full is a controversial topic, but that is alcohol. The reason I say this is not to be a party pooper, okay? Nobody likes a party pooper. But I think as a whole, our society likes to put their little blinders up to the negative consequences and side effects that can come along with excess alcohol use or even any alcohol. I know that don't let the I just don't bring a chaos. A clean when it becomes a problem. Number 5 is being messy and unorganized. A clean space quite literally calms the mind. I know if you live in constant chaos or a mess, your brain kind of reflects the space that you're in. Being organized with your time or write it down physically, something to there helps about is wasting time. Scrolling on TikTok, playing video games for 10 hours a night. I don't know what you guys are doing, but a lot of you are wasting your time. So many of us, including myself sometimes, are wasting time on mindless, meaningless activities, whether it be scrolling on your phone, again, playing video games, watching TV. I'm not saying cut out all entertainment. I think having entertainment and fun in your life is important. Again, totally not trying to be a party pooper. I watch movies. I, sit on my phone. My job is to be on my phone, so that's an important part of my life. But also, make sure that you're prioritizing the things that are productive, the things that are genuinely important, entertaining. People are talking about putting their money on. Number 7, being financially irresponsible. Affording this girl herself and say, well, why can't I do that? Or why am I not doing that? Or why can't Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about the rise of lonely single men and the rise of sexless men. But instead of just me talking about it, since I've already covered this pretty in-depth on my channel, I wanted to bring other girls on and get their opinion, what they think's going on, if they think women play any type of role in this. So I'm sitting down with 7 girls today, and we're going to think sex. So 1/3 of men under the age of 30 are sexless, and there's also a rise in lonely single men. If you had to guess, why do you think this is the case?
I think dating is a lot different than it was back then, especially with social media and everything that's going on. I think men also these days too are sometimes more afraid to talk to women than they used to, I guess. But I don't know. I was just talking to a friend about this. I think just dating in general has completely shifted. It's harder now. It's a lot harder to have genuine connections or even people you want to hook up with, like with Tinder and Bumble and all that stuff. So that would be my answer.
I really think it's because women stopped caring about douchebags. And I know that's not the best word to use, but guys
What?
that don't put in effort and don't care and don't want to actually value women for who they are gonna be lonely, because women are becoming a lot more independent and they're becoming a lot more confident in being themselves, that they don't need no man. So I find that rise probably comes from those guys that don't want to put in that extra effort and actually put their pride aside and make a woman feel loved.
I feel like a lot of it might have to do with maybe like working remote, since we're all so I feel like I'm at home a lot more than like I ever was before, and like since I work remote personally, like not going out and meeting as many people like through like work friends or like going out as much, I feel like people just aren't interacting.
In-person human interaction, and everything's kind of moving towards being online.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then I also feel like women are just being more selective over like how they want to be treated, and how like with social media, I feel like it's so easy to compare like what other relationships, like what they're doing,
No.
what kind of experiences like a couple's
Your social media is honest.
luxurious vacation, and like this man doesn't want to like take me on that, so like screw him or something in a way.
So first and foremost, I would say pornography has something to do with it. Just because it's so easily accessible that men don't really have to like put in the effort to go out and seek a mate when they can just like do it at the comfort of their space. I would say another reason is just the work and personal life balance. People are obviously too ambitious now, which is a great thing, but to like keep up with the economy and the demanding lifestyle, it's kind of hard to maintain a nice work and personal life balance, and men don't really see the worth in going out to find a potential mate. They would just rather spend that energy on working towards their goals and ambitions. So just like a busy working life.
Incels? Reddit? 4chan? I think it's largely a them problem.
No.
I guess.
I think, I don't know, I feel like one post-pandemic, people don't like interact with each other as much. This is kind of off topic, but like when I used to walk down the street, I would always be like, oh my God, you're so pretty, or like hello to people, you know, and just like talk to people. And I feel like now that's not really happening. I think I don't know. It's just, I personally don't have a super high sex drive. So if someone's not super sexually active, does not matter to me at all. But it's hard. Is it by choice? Is that what we're speaking of, or just?
So I think a lot of it is by choice. I can just give you some other reasons why. Social media definitely is one of them, I think. Porn, I think, is also one of them. Young marriage on the decline. People are waiting until they're a little bit older to get married. Also, what you said about interacting with people on the street, I think a lot of men are becoming hesitant and scared to approach women just in general. You know, you see all these videos online of women posting when men say hi to them and they're repulsed by it, or they get really upset. Like at the gym, if a guy approaches a girl at the gym, they get really upset. So I think there's a lot of things that are tying into this, but it's interesting to hear like from someone on the outside that isn't so like doing this for work, like why you would think that this is happening.
I feel like the internet also gives people unattainable
Goals.
ideas.
Standards. True.
And I wonder if these statistics are coming out just because more people are saying that they are not sexually active because of the internet. Like, I wonder if it's always been like this, but now people are really banding together and being like, yeah. Obviously, we're living in a time as well where you don't have to get married and have kids by the time you're 24. So that's off. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Well, I think there's a rise in celibacy among women that I've noticed on social media. So I think that would relate to why more men are going sexless. And then also people are just becoming more comfortable with being alone, probably because of the pandemic, which isn't a bad thing, but I mean, human connection is also a good thing. In terms of loneliness, I don't know, maybe we're just like missing that connection that there once was, and there's so many more higher standards now for men and women and just relationships in general. And I think the factors just go like back and forth. So maybe a woman like has not been happy with how she's been treated, or doesn't feel empowered by hookup culture, so then she just becomes celibate. So then the man or men are experiencing like less sex in their lives, and then I don't know, it just keeps going like back and forth on the effect of one another.
Do you think that it's all men to blame, or do you think that women play a role in this as well? I mean, because there are a lot of single women too.
Yeah. I don't think it's all men to blame. I just think people are not as good with interacting with each other these days, and they'll go on Tinder or something, you know, to look for a hookup, but that's so
Hi
much
everyone, welcome back
different
to my
and harder
channel.
to
If you're new
connect
here,
with
I'm
people
Courtney
than,
Ryan,
like,
and we cover
that you
everything on this
just
channel.
meet someone,
Confidence,
which I'm not saying you
mental
have to
health,
just go meet
grooming,
someone on the street.
fashion, and everything in between. And today we're going to be covering something equally as important, which is your home. The environment that you're in can affect you in so many different ways, and I'm a firm believer in making your personal space a little oasis. So these are going to be things that every guy should have in his house, in his apartment, his home, wherever you live. These are things that you should have. Many of these will impress any lady who is lucky enough to get the grand tour, but also will benefit you, your life, and your productivity. So let's get started. Number one, we have personal library. So books are an absolute must.
Fuck you!
Building up your own little
No!
library or personal book collection is great for education and learning, obviously, but can also make for great decor. So it's a nice little two-in-one. I also think a bookshelf can be a really great addition to any room. If you're struggling on decor, maybe you don't want to hang things on the walls, you can just do a simple bookshelf with obviously your book collection and some other little decorative things on the shelf. I think this often creates a really cool look. The way that they can kind of level up a space and look in your place is obviously a nice little bonus. Books are just something that I think everyone should have. I know some of you are on the Nook or Kindle train, and as much as I would love to do that because it's way more convenient and efficient, I'm just one of those people that likes to hold a book in my hand and have a little library going wherever I'm at. So again, the way that they look is obviously a nice little bonus in your place, but even more important than that, they help with your vocabulary. They're great for your brain. Reading is just a really great activity for all of you to be doing. So definitely recommend starting your own little collection. Number two, we have speakers, and speakers can really help elevate the ambiance of a space. A lot of these look really awesome too. I have an amazing set of speakers on my desk. Obviously, I cool sitting on my desk and like your idea what I was missing. Number three, we have a standing desk, and you guys, I had no idea what I was missing out on until I got this standing desk. Oh my goodness. So this is actually my first time having a standing desk. I've had this for a couple of weeks now, and I am loving it. I will never go back to a regular desk. So I have the FlexiSpot Pro Plus Standing Desk E7, and I am absolutely loving it. It's helping with my posture, it helps keep me from sitting all day, and it's just overall such a better experience than a regular desk where you're sitting all day long. If you want an ergonomic and active working environment, the FlexiSpot E7 is the best you'll find. It's super stable and moves smoothly and steadily, so your monitors and other devices will stay safe and sound as the desk moves up and down. Even at the highest level, the desk is wobble-free. The E7 is built to last, and the quality is incredible. Its holeless leg design not only provides an aesthetically pleasing experience, but more importantly, it prevents anything from getting into the structure, therefore extending your desk for years of use. The E7 has a large height range from 22.8 inches to 48.4 inches, and the height is easily adjustable, allowing for a more flexible experience for all customers with heights from 4'2" to 6'3". My short kings to my tall guys out there, all of you can benefit from this desk. I just love how easy it is to change the height because my fiance has been working at my desk sometimes too, so whenever we switch back and forth, it's super easy to just put it to the setting that works for you. In addition to its wide range of height, the E7's retractable frame is built with neat and tidy drives. Also, if you're interested, you never know when you're going to need to fix something, so having those tools on hand is super helpful. Also, watching a man fix something is just chef's kiss. Number five is a man fix something is just Chef's kiss. Number 5 is a cast iron skillet, you guys. This is the superior thing to cook with. Take it from someone who is cooking all the time. I cook every single day. I cook lunch and dinner every single day, and I always use my cast iron because I love it so much. All of these non-stick pans are also not good for you. There have been all these studies coming out recently that they cause cancer and they have all these chemicals. So just stay away from those. Food tastes better when it's made on a cast iron, and it's better for your health apparently. Number 6, something that I could never live without, and that is a steamer. I think Angie lives in a steamer, so in a oddly specific, so hear me out. Having specific in all is an impressive combo to lump into one / a pet. And I know that's a very odd combo to lump into one, but let me explain. Starting off with the plants, it's always impressive when a guy can keep something alive besides himself. And I don't say that to be demeaning. I really mean this as an impressive thing that women notice. If you're able to keep a plant alive or a pet alive, that's a great sign. But even more than that, it's great for creating a really nice ambiance in your space and also is a great way to decorate. They liven up your space, they make it feel more homey, and if you're a guy who maybe isn't the best at interior design, or maybe you live in an apartment and you don't necessarily want to hang a bunch of stuff up on your walls that you're just going to have to take down, or worried about, getting money out of your security deposit because of little holes in the wall, plants are a super easy, great way to decorate, and they really do help liven up your space without making it look really cluttered or like there's trinkets everywhere. We don't want to be looking like we're out of an episode of Hoarders, right? With decorations everywhere, your walls are just covered. I think it's an easy way to do that is having a cute dog or Ryan Reynolds as obviously take a look at your situation and don't get or just guy like 10x out on a walk and your dog's an elevator because you get laid so that you don't ruin any surfaces that you might. Number 9, super simple, a set of coasters. This is just so that you don't ruin any surfaces that you might be setting a drink on. I hate the way watermarks look if you set a drink down and you don't have a coaster or anything to set it on. So coasters are just a great way to avoid that. So a very simple thing to have in your house, but I think it's practical. Number 11, we've got a drop zone. So this is a place where when you walk in your house, you set your stuff there and you don't have to worry about losing anything. You never wonder, where are my keys? Because if you're home, they're always on that drop zone. So this could be for your keys or any other everyday carry stuff that you might have. This just really helps keep everything, a bunch of stuff's key you as you're in coffee house. If you're 11, the at-home barista. I think having some sort of coffee maker in your house, some shoes looking good as new, or just a little down to shoe too, so it is possibly could not live without. Number 13 is a lint roller, an absolute must. Another one that I personally could not live without, and especially for all of you guys that might have a little man's best friend shedding and running around, like I mentioned earlier on the list. I think this is extra important if you're a guy who wears a lot of dark colors. Like even the shirt I'm wearing today, I look down at my arm and I can see just like little speckles of different things. So a lint roller just helps get rid of that and make your outfit look a lot better. All right, guys, that is all I have.
Especially because now with the media and stuff, you're scared to meet people in person, like just some guy next to you. You don't want to go home with them because they could be a serial killer. And this
And knows what she wants. Not necessarily plays a game, but keeps her options open and wants to find somebody that truly values her. So I definitely think women do play a factor in it because they could be on some games.
Oh, I feel like it really is your preference. Like if a height's a total deal breaker, then and you're not going to be comfortable like with somebody that's shorter than you, then you shouldn't go after that, But I think like it definitely
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today I have a group of girls who are going to tell us how to tell a girl likes you, how to tell she's into you, and I'm also going to give them some different scenarios because I do know that the way we show attraction or the way we show interest can be different depending on the situations that we're in. So we're going to be going over how to tell she's interested over texting, how to tell she's interested at a party, a bunch of different scenarios. They're going to be spilling the secrets of how you can tell if the girl likes you or not. Let's get into it. Number one is texting. So when you're texting a guy you like, how do you typically act with him?
I'm very flirtatious in what I say. I'm a quick responder. If I'm on my phone and you reply to me, I'm not gonna just open your message and act like I didn't see it. I'm, pretty transparent. I'd be sending flirty text messages, using emojis, that kind of show I'm into you, things of that nature, trying to make plans.
I overthink it every time, personally. I don't want to use the word calculated, but I don't want to act too interested, but I don't want to pull back too much to where they're like, she's boring and she's sending me like 2-word messages every time. So I give just enough so that they reply and we're having good conversation, but not so much that they're like, okay, she's extremely into me.
I don't do small talk when I text. So if it's something like, hey, what's up, every day, I think that's boring and
True.
annoying, and I don't usually respond to those messages.
Alpha.
Deep, long conversations that are gonna make me want to look at my phone. Not, hey, what's up, or how was your day? I guess how was your day? That could actually be, that could be a polite question. So I'd be a little rude to ignore it.
Oh, I'm flirting. I'm throwing in emojis, winkies. Yeah.
Okay, so that's how you flirt over text is the emojis that you use.
Yeah, but I'm also funny. I'll crack jokes and kind of just be like, oh, I don't know.
You'd have to think about it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd be like, wait, I don't have a text in my mind.
If I'm responding to his text quickly and if I'm engaging in the conversation and adding to the conversation, then I like you.
I would say
Good.
funny, I'm typically responding in a good amount of time. A little flirty, funny gifs.
Do you text him first or do you wait for him to text you?
You wait.
If
I'll
you like
text
him
first. Yeah.
I think it depends on the situation. I'm totally fine with texting first. I think guys like that. I think too many girls wait around and, they want the guy to talk to them first. I mean, it's 2022. Reach out to them if you want to talk to them, in my opinion.
Oh, I text first all the time. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
It depends. If it's super new, if I know I have a shot and I know that I'm just I know he's interested, then yeah, I'll text first. But if he's I'm playing the game a little bit, I might wait, but see if he texts me, and then maybe I'll be like, okay, maybe I text him now.
I typically like to wait for the man to text me. I feel that it shows he's interested versus that I'm chasing him.
I would text him first. If I'm interested, I would text him first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said you kind of are a little bit more calculated, but do you think that you say a lot when you're texting or do you try to keep it kind of short?
I think it depends on who I'm talking to. Some guys are boring. I mean, they're cute and I'm interested, but they're having boring conversation. I'm not going to talk their ear off if they're not really acknowledging what I'm saying in our conversation. But if they are well-spoken and, they want to talk about things that, are interesting, then I think that I'll go a little bit more in depth.
I feel a lot. Not paragraphs, but, not just sup. More hey, what are you doing today? What are we eating for lunch? Stuff like that.
I feel if it's a conversation, I try to elaborate a little bit so he can get to know me. Sometimes if it's just kind of what's up, nothing, how about you? It's so boring.
So you prefer when it's more of a conversation versus...
I do. But I also don't... If I'm getting a long paragraph, I'm not reading this. So it's a little bit...
Good.
Keep the conversation going.
I try to keep it, short and just nice casual conversations. I'm more in depth in person.
So you're kind of just texting to lead up to the next time you see them or hang out with them, not more so texting all the time, novels in your phone.
Absolutely.
I say a lot.
Yes, if I like a guy, I will engage in conversation more. My text messages will be longer, more thought out, so maybe take a little longer for me to respond, I think. Yeah.
How do you flirt over text?
Sexy type of language, you know, like I can't stop thinking about you, I can't stop thinking about your body, I can't stop, you know, wanting to be around you, things of that nature. Just letting them know that their presence is something I miss.
A lot of emojis, saying LOL a lot, and just a lot of emojis. Yeah.
I make a lot of jokes. Like I poke fun, not in a mean way. Again, it's very like, I don't know. I think that there's a line there. Like I poke fun at them. I use a lot of sarcasm. I'm very sarcastic. A lot of people don't like because I have very dry sarcasm. My friends are always like we can't tell when you're joking. And I think it's like that with guys too, even worse over text in a way because they can't hear my voice or read my expression. But it works out for me.
So you're a little bit more playful.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like the banter of the back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say if she's responding pretty fast, you know, let's say she's at work, obviously give her some time. But if she's like keeping up the conversation, texting you back, maybe he's like, hey, like, what are you doing? Maybe she wants you to ask her out. If she's, you know, obviously if you can tell, if like she's sending a winky in there. I mean, sunglass emoji? No. Kissy face? Yeah.
What?
Emojis are important to know how people are feeling because over text it's so hard to decipher everyone's emotions. So emojis.
So I'm like a big emoji person. Sorry if people hate emojis. But so I'll probably like, you know, like hey handsome, you know, like winky face, send cute pictures. I think like that's important, you know, like so you don't forget what I look like. I'll send you something cute. So yeah.
And then how would you say a guy could tell if she's not interested over text? Like say a guy's texting you, he's nice, but you're really not into him, you don't like him at all, there's nothing happening there. How are you texting him?
I'm not. But sometimes, you know, it depends. Like if he's, you know, really persistent and I'm like, okay, maybe I should give him a shot. Maybe I should go for it. I'll be a little bit more vague with my responses. I'll be a little bit more shorter. Yeah, I would say that.
I think that quicker replies and longer replies, in my opinion, express more interest. Guys I don't really want to talk to, I reply like every 4 or 5 hours or like 3 days later. I'm like, oops, sorry, I got caught, like I was busy with work. But if I'm interested in them, I'm not going to reply immediately, but you know, maybe like every 10, 20 minutes, I'll reply to their message. And I think that,
you know, like
would probably agree.
Taking the time to text you back. Like if you text her and then like she doesn't text you back for like 3 days, she's probably not that interested and she's talking to somebody else.
I think the first thing would be their response time. Now, people have jobs and people have social lives as well, and that's all good and dandy. But if you guys were just having a conversation, you know, a few moments ago and you're trying to make plans and all of a sudden she's not replying to you, it may give you the hint she's not really interested in, you know, committing to that time. And if she was, you know, she would do that. And also by how she responds to you. She's very short, one-worded. She's not looking to engage in a conversation.
I just never respond, ever. I just won't respond. And if I do respond, it's like one word.
One wording text, just not interested, taking forever to respond. Not texting back, that's me. I just won't even, that's rude, but I'm being honest.
You don't like him, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then a lot of times I think girls will text maybe because they're bored, maybe because they want a little bit of attention. How can a guy tell when that is the case or the girl actually genuinely likes him?
I think there's a few things that come into play there. About the time that she texts you, you know, if she's always texting you late at night, kind of after she's hit the bar with her friends, she's probably just looking for some late night attention. If she wants to make plans with you, that's a little bit more of a way to know that she's interested in hanging out. And if she straight up doesn't reply for a few days, she's probably not interested.
That becomes the hey, what's up? Like a hey, what's up text message, like, oh, I'm bored, I just want to chat, kind of. That's kind of how I take that. And I personally would never send that text message. I feel like I don't know. I just don't.
So it's more surface level rather than more in-depth, thought out.
Yeah, it's more just like, hey, what's up? How's your day? Okay, cool. I'm good. And then that's it. That's like a boredom, out of boredom, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I think, with this scenario, I think that most people, might be texting just because they have the free time, but you'll know that she's interested in the conversation if she's asking you questions. Maybe she's wants to learn more about you, not just, the general, what's up with your day? How's your day? Or like, what are you interested in? Trying to find those deeper rooted questions and maybe seeing your availability for the next week.
I think a lot, depending on their messages. If they're like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing today? And it's very like casual, maybe more baseline conversation, then they're probably not interested. I don't know about other girls, but I know with me, and I don't really do that a lot, text people when I'm bored. I don't know, I don't really love texting anyways, but if I'm doing that, I'm not having super in-depth conversations that are going to take up a ton of my time. I want just enough to where I'm not as bored, but not so much where it's taking up my, my whole day. So if it's a more baseline conversation, sorry, this is a long explanation, but more baseline conversation, then, maybe not.
Okay, so surface level versus going more in depth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't text because I'm bored, because I don't have time for that, but I do think that if I like a guy, I'll definitely be texting like with longer paragraphs, like adding to the conversation. Probably like more like curious about him, like asking questions about his life. But if I'm bored, I might still be texting in long paragraphs because I'm bored, but I probably won't really care about anything that he has to say.
I would say you can tell when a girl is bored when, like, if you text her something. So for me personally, I hate when a guy will like text something and it's not a message that generates you to be able to respond to. Like if you're like, hey, what you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm just chilling. You're like, okay, like, what about you? Like, guys, like, what am I doing? So like, conversations like that, because if you're texting boring, then the girl is not going to be interested in that. So that's how you can tell, like, you're keeping that interesting, and then like she's actually like responding back, laughing at your jokes, like, oh yeah.
And then the next scenario is social media. So you like a guy on social media, you have a crush on someone, or you're really into someone. How do you interact with them on, say,
I think it's common to story respond. Definitely respond to stories, like stories, be prominent in their DMs. Because if you're just liking, anyone can like a photo. Everyone just likes photos. So
Yeah.
I like everyone's photos.
So myself, I'm a pretty direct girl. I'll like their pictures and just straight up DM them and let them know, hey, I think you're looking really good here, and from there we can just see where the conversation goes.
So you would respond to a story or message him first?
Yeah, like if he posted on a story, I'd slide up if there's a recent post to the feed. I'd probably like it and send it to him and slide up so that we can get it.
Obviously, I'll like their pictures. I think if they put something up on their Instagram or Snapchat that I'm genuinely interested in, then I might swipe up and make a comment. I like to golf, so if a guy's out golfing at a course I've never seen before, I might swipe up and be like, oh, hey, like, did you like that course? But I don't do it in a way that's fake. Like, if they're gaming, I'm not going to be like, oh, I love Call of Duty. I hate Call of Duty. So little things like that, but not too much. I'm not reacting to every photo that they post. I'm not swiping up to every photo, but here and there, kind of dropping subtle hints. So you're still, like, in the back of their mind, but not being overbearing.
Like some pictures, show some love, like in the comments. And typically, like if the person is showing you back, they find your DMs, like, hey, please, like, what's up? And they come and, let's move it to the phone. Like, okay. So typically just, like something like that. And I feel like when they'll respond, then that's how you know that you like move on.
So you would say if a guy reached out and you didn't respond, versus if you did respond, that would show the
Yeah, because like I might look at it and just like, like if it's like So he like, hey, you know, I think you're cute. Like he's trying to be like, hey girl, I think you're cute. And she just hearts it, or she's like, oh, thank you. And she doesn't say like, oh, you know, you're cute. Or like, hey, you know, I like your stuff too. She just like is very dry with it. Not
If I like them, usually I'll follow them and then just like a few of their photos like in a row, and then just wait and see if they like it.
Now we're going on to social media. So Instagram, TikTok, you know, all the social media sites. Do you message him first?
I do. I shoot my shot at him.
I was gonna say you
I shoot my
you're
shot
a
on
little
him,
more bold. Okay. Like, what are some ways that you would message him if you're into a guy? Like, what kind of messages are you sending?
I'll swipe up on something like if there's something that I can relate to. Maybe it's a dog. I'm like, oh my god, such a cute dog. Like something so stupid, but they're like, oh, they
So you'll respond to his story.
Yeah, I respond to stories.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Just keep it brief, casual.
If I'm giving him attention and like if I'm giving him repetitive attention, whether it be like constantly liking his photos or constantly liking his stories or constantly like reaching out somehow, I think that would be a sign that like
It's a little bit more vague. It's a little bit more flirty. I might like swipe up and do like the, you know, heart eye emojis on something. Or, you know, I'm not sending him a whole paragraph. What is your plans this weekend? You know, what are you doing? I might be like, oh, like, what's your snap? Or, you know, what's your number? Like, just kind of keep it a little bit more casual. But I'm definitely a little bit more flirty on Instagram for sure.
Okay, so Instagram, like social media, is more for flirting, and then leading to something else, maybe.
Casual.
Okay.
Fun.
And then what about when you're not into a guy? Say a guy's been messaging you. How can a guy tell that you're not interested over social media?
I have like two people that are sticking out of my mind, and they swipe up on every single story, and they're fire emoji, super cute, and I don't even like the message. Like, seen is seen. Okay, it says seen. So do not, if you did it once, if you did it twice, I would just say no, maybe just move on.
So know when to move on when you're not getting those responses.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she just might not, you know, be the one for you.
Okay. So if you're interested in a guy, you will respond, you will acknowledge his message.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and you'll probably interact with his stuff too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
A quick response. I would definitely use emojis so he knows I'm happy, smiling, laughing. It would be definitely a more in-depth response because I do know that some guys who respond to my story, I just say thank you or LOL or just heart, thank you for saying thank you or something like that. And I think I would write like a sentence or two. I would interact a little more, kind of see what I can get out of the conversation, and then kind of determine if we have a conversation or not, or if it continues throughout the day or something. Usually it doesn't.
So if you like them, you're going to interact with them more than just liking the message they sent you or saying thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so for the guy that messaged me that I'm into, right away I'd probably respond with something, comment, you know, letting you know that I'm into as well. Try to have some casual conversations, let you get to know you, and then, you know, see if you're available for the weekend coming up. For a guy that I'm not interested in, it would probably just say seen.
Next situation here is like a party, a bar, a concert, something where drinks might be involved. So say you see a guy across the room that you think is super cute, what do you do?
I am all about eye contact. I'm very outgoing when she meets me, but like first impression, a little bit shy. So I'll usually eye contact. If they make eye contact with me, I'll usually make my way over to where they're at. And if I'm bold enough, I'll just introduce myself and talk to them or ask them what they're drinking if they're not drinking something like a Bud Light where I can obviously tell what they're drinking. Or we go to a lot of live music bars, so okay, they obviously like country music. If they're at a country music bar, that's a really easy topic for me to talk about, so I find something to relate about. But yeah, I'll approach them usually.
It's funny because a couple of my questions were, do you give a look from across the room? room, and I think every girl knows kind of what the look is, like the eye contact and the little smile,
Yeah.
things like that, and then trying to move in closer to him.
Mhm.
And you said you're a little bit more introverted. I feel like that's how girls who are a little bit more shy at the beginning kind of act when they're interacting with the guy.
I'll probably walk over there, but very. Like, it's not going to be obvious. You know, like, so if I see him over there, I'll make it look like it's an accident. So, you know, I just a long way around and I'll just move my way over. Maybe, like, go to the bar next to him, like, and bump him, like, oh, I'm sorry. And then if we make eye contact, and it's, like, good eye contact, like, then I know, like, okay, to, like, move forward. Well, if it's just like, oh, I'm sorry. And then, like, he keeps doing what he's doing. I'm like, oh, okay. Divert mission. You know?
I'm very bold, so if I like you, I'm gonna approach you. If I saw a guy I really like, I would probably just approach them. If he was like out of my league, then I'd probably just look at him and try to make eye contact from like across the room. Maybe make eye contact like a few times and then wait for him to approach me. Or if I think he's like interested, then I'll go over and approach him.
I'm going right up.
Oh, so you're a more bold one. You would go straight up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'd like kind of move a little bit closer, you know.
Okay, so one of my
Ooh,
questions.
need a drink over here.
One of my questions was, do you try to get closer to him?
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. Tell all your friends, like, oh, we should all go stand over there.
Yeah, and like that's just me. I'm very outgoing. I see something, you know, I'm like, okay, like maybe I can shoot my shot. And I'll know in like the first few seconds if, you know, okay, maybe they have a girlfriend, you know, not stepping on those toes. You'll kind of
Disconnected.
pull it out, but I would say if a girl's like looking at you, you know, make that subtle eye contact. Yeah, she's interesting.
I, again, am a bold type of woman. I will absolutely catcall. I actually have done this multiple times just out and about with friends. If I see an attractive guy, whether it's his shoes, his outfit, or overall how he looks, I will absolutely let you know. I'll probably go up to you at the bar, ask you what you're drinking, if you'd like to have a shot with me or a drink, and see where the night leads us.
I think that my body language says a lot. I think body language is very important. So if a guy that I'm interested comes up to me, I would probably take a step back from my friends so I could be more open to our conversation. And then I would just engage some kind of way to contact me. Phone number, Instagram are my two go-tos. And if I'm not interested, I would face my friends and kind of just close off our circle so he couldn't come in or something like that. Actually, a lot.
Yeah, I think that I will talk to anyone for a couple of minutes. So I don't love to blow people off. I don't know. I like feel guilty and rude. So if I'm interested in them, I'll definitely give them more of my time and engage in a conversation. If I'm not, I'll say hi. You know, if they want to exchange a couple of words, fair enough. But I'll definitely move away or be like, I'm going to go back with my friend or I'm going to go to the bathroom. So again, if I like them, I'm going to sit there and engage in conversation.
I'm a friendly person, so I like talking to people. So I would say for me, the way to know, like, if they come up to me, they're like, hey, can I get your number? And I say no, like, just, like, straight off the jump. Probably not interested, but I would still, like, give you conversation. I'm not rude. But, you know, I feel it's better to come over and just not go straight for the number because it's very impersonal. It's just like, okay, well, you know, you're not getting to know who I am, so how do you know you want my number? You didn't hear me say so. So I would say more so like, if you're having that conversation, like, hey, you know, how are you? Oh, great, like, you look good. You know, always compliment a woman. It goes a long way. You know, and if she's like shrugging you off, not giving you much, and just kind of just like, then she's not really interested. But if she's like kind of like, you know, flirting a little bit, smiling, you know, giving you that good conversation, probably good sign that she likes you.
Oh, I would say if you're kind of like looking around, trying to like, oh, where are my friends? She's not interested. If she is lean and, you know, engaged, maybe like set up on jokes, grabs your arm. Oh,
For myself, it's pretty easy. My body language is a big giveaway if I'm interested into a guy, and I especially think if you're trying to approach, just a random woman up at the bar, read her body language. I think that's going to be the biggest telltale sign if she is into you. Now, if she's got girlfriends around and she's distracted, that's okay. Maybe offer her friends a shot. But for myself personally, if I'm engaging in conversation and I'm trying to, keep it going and being active, you'll know by my body language, my arms won't be crossed, I'll be looking at you in the eyes and smiling and laughing. If it's a guy that I'm not interested in, I'll probably make very quick small talk and turn the opposite way, try to get the bartender's attention, and just bounce.
Every girl's been in a situation where guys came up and they're just like, they do not want to talk to them, but the guy keeps on talking. If I'm giving you like one-worded responses, or like every time you're talking I'm like looking away, then that means I don't want to. If I'm like barely responding and like pretend like fiddling with my like hair or something and looking away, I don't want to. But if I do want to talk to you and you come over to me, then if I'm like engaged, like my whole body towards you, and I'm like laughing and smiling and like actually responding to what you're saying and like adding things to the conversation, then you can like continue talking.
Okay, and then what about a friend group? Have you ever had a crush on a guy friend, or have you ever had a guy friend like you?
Absolutely. And that can lead to a few different conversations. If, myself as a woman has always thought of the relationship like platonic and strictly friends, I don't want to hurt his feelings and make him feel misled or that I did something, that wasn't going on. But I try to just be as nice as possible if I'm not interested in making a friendship more than what it is. And if I am interested, then that's the best of both worlds.
And how did that go?
It's hard because you're friends and you don't want to ruin the friendship. But at the same time, like, shoot your shot, go for it. And they might be feeling the same way. I feel like it's hard with friends. I've seen it kind of crumble just because in, my certain situation, as well as, friends in the past, it's sticky.
Definitely so. I don't know, it was weird. So like the guy friend, because it was like 4 girls and 2 guys. 1 guy, he's not really into girls, like, sometimes sometimes no. But then our friend, like, kind of like all of us. So it's just like, like if you two are alone, looking at you flirty and stuff, you're like, but weren't you just flirting with her? Because she told me y'all were like flirting. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm super against dating in friend groups. I have a lot of guy friends that have been my friends since I was like 12, and I've never once even made it remotely obvious. Like, the door's never been open for that, so not one of them has ever like asked to be anything more than a friend. I'm against it because I think it will tarnish the friendship, and it will tarnish the group of friends, I think. And I'm not about dating in the friend group, and I'm also not about dating like in the work, like in the co-working place, just because there's so many people out there. Just go find somebody that's not gonna ruin what you have going on.
Okay, so if you wouldn't even be into a guy in your friend group if you mentioned it.
I wouldn't even be into a guy in a friend group, so I don't even know. I haven't even put up my walls for my friend group have been so, like, everyone's so friend zoned that I've never even experienced any of the guys in my friend group like trying to hit on me. Like, there was one friend that like invited me out to Valentine's Day dinner because I didn't have a date, but he brought one of his, like, another friend from the group. So that was like, it wasn't even close to a date. Yeah, because it was like, you don't invite a guy to a girl out to Valentine's Day dinner
with another guy. So it just, I don't even know what that would be like.
Okay.
Yeah, I have. I think it really depends on if they're reciprocating what you're feeling. I think in the situations where I was, they weren't, which is completely fine. And for me personally, I kind of just had to learn to separate my feelings. You know, if they're not into you, they're not into you. And they're probably going to be talking to other girls at the bar, other girls when you're out. And I really just had to learn to get over it. And, you know, you just kind of have to move on.
No, I have never.
Okay.
I feel like I have never.
I think if you guys have a collective friend group that you hang out in pretty regularly and she's looking for some one-on-one time, she's probably more interested in getting to know you a little bit closer as opposed to just always seeing her when you're with the certain same friend group.
You know, is she asking you to hang out like one-on-one? Is she always texting you, hey, you know, are you going to this party, or are you going? You know, kind of just making it like known to ask if that person's gonna be there. But feel it out with your friends first. You know, maybe see how the group, not the whole group. Hey guys, don't open it up to the floor.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today I'm going to be doing another reaction video to someone that you guys have all of a sudden been asking me to react to like every single day, and this is Dan Bacon. And to be totally honest, I had no idea who this is. I'm like, who the heck is this Dan Bacon man that you guys are talking about? So I checked out his channel, and I first went to read his about section of his intro so nobody gets their panties in a bunch about me making assumptions about someone's channel after one video, even though after one video you should be able to accurately think, you know, oh, this channel is about this channel is about this. Just saying. Okay, so Dan Bacon's about section of his channel says, I teach men how to get the results that they want with women. I focus on 3 main areas. Number 1, how to get laid or get a girlfriend. Number 2, how to fix relationship problems with a woman. Example, lack of attraction, trust issues, arguing, women treating her man badly, power struggles, falling out of love, no spark, lack of respect, lack of appreciation. And number 3, how to get an ex-woman back after a breakup, separation, or divorce. Okay, that was a pretty good synopsis of what his channel is about. I have not watched any of his videos. This one that I'm going to be reacting to today is the first one I've watched, but you guys seem to really like him and recommend him all the time. So the video specifically I'm going to be reacting to is 9 signs of male insecurity that turn women off. And as a woman, I think I can give you guys a pretty good idea of if he is saying things that yes, they do turn women off, or no, they don't. So let's get started.
If a beautiful woman is insecure or shy, it doesn't really matter to the majority of men. Most men will still find her attractive and want to be with her even though she's a bit insecure or shy. In fact, some guys will find it a bit of a turn on that the beautiful woman is shy and he can be more confident around her. However, the same doesn't apply for a woman's attraction to a man. Women are attracted to the emotional strengths of men, such as confidence, high self-esteem and self-assuredness, and turned off by emotional weaknesses such as insecurity, self-doubt and shyness. What you may have noticed is that confident guys can easily attract women to get laid or get a girlfriend, whereas shy guys have a difficult time getting anywhere past the friend zone. Some shy guys can get laid or get a girlfriend, but they don't really have their choice of women because their emotional weakness turns most women off.
That's fair.
So what are some of the signs of insecurity that turn women off, and how can you avoid doing it? Number 1, unable to maintain eye contact. If a guy is talking to a woman, he doesn't need to stare at her in the eyes the entire time to maintain eye contact. But he does need to be able to maintain casual eye contact and keep that going for 5 seconds at a time or 10 seconds at a time. If a guy's talking to a woman and he's looking away and looking around and looking down and looking uncomfortable, she's not going to be able to feel attracted to him. Women aren't attracted to emotional weakness. Number 2.
I think eye contact is huge. Same with body language. I always say if you walk into a room and you're standing up straight, you're making eye contact, you look relaxed, people are going to respect you more. If you walk in with your head down, with your arms crossed, and you're looking all insecure, it's going to deliver a different message and make you look less powerful. So I do think body language plays a huge role, especially with creating that initial attraction with women. So 100% true, correct.
2, being lost for words and then appearing nervous or unsure of himself. One of the main reasons why guys struggle to get laid or get a girlfriend is that they don't really know what to say to a woman to keep a conversation going and keep it interesting. A guy will start off a conversation, and because he's feeling so attracted to the woman and feeling insecure about his value and worthiness to her, he'll start to think too much and get lost for words. Suddenly he'll begin to appear nervous and unsure of himself, and the woman will start to feel turned off. If a guy is confident and is able to be present in the conversation as he talks to a woman, he's not going to be worrying about things in his head. His brain isn't going to have to work hard to come up with conversation. It's just going to flow naturally and effortlessly as though he's talking to just any other person. Number 3, doubting.
And that's how it should be, because guess what? Even the most beautiful women have insecurities. They feel unsure of themselves too. And so it's unrealistic to think that this girl's perfect. She never messes up when she talks. She is just up on a pedestal. It's so silly, and it makes you feel more pressure. It puts a ton of unnecessary stress on yourself, because she's just another human too. We all have insecurities. We all mess up when we speak sometimes, and that is totally okay. So don't go in thinking I have to be perfect, or you will always fall short and always be disappointed, because nobody's perfect. Not this beautiful girl you think is, and you're not either. So it's okay, relax, and you'll be fine. That one is true as well.
Doubting that she could ever like a guy like him. If a guy's talking to a woman and he doubts that she could ever like a guy like him, it'll come across in the way that he's talking to her, his body language, how he reacts and responds to her, and his general approach to the interaction. For example, if a guy's being over-complimentary and giving her the impression that he would be so lucky if he ever got a chance with her, that is going to turn her off. A woman definitely does want to be appreciated and treated well, but she doesn't want a guy who feels like he needs to suck up to her and kiss her ass and hope to get a chance with her if he's on his very best behavior around her. Number 4.
That is very true, and I'm so glad he threw that in there, because girls like when you do sweet things for them, but girls don't like when you are going above and beyond 24/7. You're trying to impress her all the time or prove something. It just makes you look like you're trying to prove something, and that you think that you're not good enough, and it comes across through your actions. So definitely keep that in mind. I think that is very true. And also, I've done a whole video about She's Out of Your League. I know the movie is kind of silly and outlandish, because most movies are, but I do think there are some good lessons to be learned from that, and I did an entire video about it. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Whether you think you can or you think you can't is the result that you'll get. So, I mean, it is what it is. That one is true as well.
4. Communication that's nervously giving his opinion. A lot of this comes back to a guy not having confidence in himself.
Anything like that. If
you through confidence.
Like he's like paying close attention to everything you're
with him talking about that.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be talking about this phenomenon that women think most men are ugly, or specifically here, 80% of men are ugly. So I've been seeing this a lot lately on TikTok, on YouTube. I haven't really watched any videos about it, but I've seen some like thumbnails pop up and some different creators make videos about this topic specifically. So I wanted to offer a woman's perspective on this and see if it's maybe different from what other people are saying. I'm actually going to be going through a study that was done, which is why people are talking about this in the first place, and then also a Reddit thread that I found that kind of discusses this phenomenon that's going on, that I think just helps add some different perspectives into this topic. So let's get into it. Okay, so women find 80% of men. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and today I'm going to be reacting to a video that is kind of old, but I've seen resurface so much lately. I've been tagged in so many different videos from so many different creators. So let's get into it.
Let's have one more question. We had this person at the back in the stripes. Yeah, let's hear from you.
During the dating period, you know, after like 4 or 5 months of dating, I just wondering at what point does it get, do you have to pay, did the woman have to pay when they go out? The guy is asking that there should be half and half at that point when you already.
At what point?
When you already been dating for 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, okay, to give you a quick answer on, firstly, I think we should just deal with the who should pay thing to begin with. When you're on a date, who should pay?
I know. I mean, that's what I told them. You know, I'm sorry. I
But-
would say I'm dating. We're dating.
But here's
the
the.
gentleman here.
Okay, he's supposed to pay.
Yeah, that's
You're
what I told them.
but you're supposed to have sex with him whenever he says.
No. Whenever.
Makes a good
well,
point.
Where does this double standard come from? I'm sorry, it's the reality. You guys you can moan at it all you want, but the moment you say to a guy, you have to fucking pay for my time, you're saying this relationship isn't equal. This relationship isn't equal. My time is worth more than yours, so you should pay for it. I wonder what paradigm that sets up. Here's my view. If you go on a date with a guy and you don't offer to pay your share,
Red flag.
you weren't taught right. If you go on a date and he doesn't pay, he wasn't taught right.
I want to stop it there because I have said this so many times on my channel. It's about the way that you approach it, right? If you go into something entitled, you have this princess.
So you should pay for it. Time? You're saying this relationship.
We're dating.
But here's the.
gentleman here.
Okay, he's supposed to pay.
Yeah, that's what I told them.
But you're supposed to have sex with him whenever he says.
No. Whenever.
Makes a good point.
Where does this double standard come from? I'm sorry, it's the reality. You guys can moan at it all you want, but the moment you say to a guy, you have to fucking pay for my time, you're saying this relationship isn't equal. This relationship isn't equal. My time is worth more than yours, so you should pay for it. I wonder what paradigm that sets up. Here's my view. If you go on a date with a guy and you don't offer to pay your share,
Red flag.
you weren't taught right. If you go on a date and he doesn't pay, he wasn't taught right.
I want to stop it there because I have said this so many times on my channel. It's about the way that
Fair.
you approach it, right? If you go into something entitled, you have this princess mentality, you have an attitude that he has to pay for me 100% of the time, well, then what do you have to do for him? That sets it up where you're always constantly expecting each other to do something or another, which, I mean, you can argue that relationships are transactional sometimes in that way, but how would you feel if you went on a date with a guy and because he paid for you, he said, well, now you have to sleep with me? As a woman, you're like, oh, no, that's not how that works. Well, I know it's a little bit different and it's hard to compare, but that's about as close as it gets to comparing it equally on each side of the equation, right? You're going into it acting like you're entitled to something.
And you're not?
I hate to break it to you, that's not the way the world works. You're not entitled to someone paying for your time. Unless you're at a job or something, and that's the way that it's set up, right? But, you know, first dates and getting to know someone are a little bit different than a job. Now, again, I mentioned, it's the way that you go about it. Do I think it's the gentlemanly thing to do to pay on the first date? Yes, I do. I think you come across as a gentleman, chivalrous, kind, respectful when you pay for the first date, at least just the first date. But in return, the girl that you're with should at least offer and be gracious and say thank you. I had a guy friend one time tell me that he had taken this girl out on 4 dates, paid for all of it, all 4 times. She did not say thank you. A single time. I said, you should not have taken her out for a second date if she didn't say thank you. Because the way that people react and respond to things says everything about them. And the fact that she didn't say thank you shows that she thought she was entitled to that. And she wasn't gracious. And that's how you get used for free meals. When people aren't appreciative. Yikes. So yeah, it is the way that you go about it. It's the attitude behind it. And I don't know, the whole thing is just so silly to me. This girl saying after 4 to 5 months, she hasn't paid for anything. Whoa, that's crazy to me. I always, from the first date, always offered to pay. Even if they kept saying no, I always offered. Was always gracious, a million thank yous, because I'm grateful if someone's paying for me. Money doesn't just fall off of trees. You gotta work for it. And when someone is willing to spend their hard-earned money on you, that's a nice thing. And I think we need to like mutually respect each other instead of just expecting one person to bring everything to the table while you bring nothing. This gets me all fired up because I just can't stand the princess mentality, entitled behavior from either side. If a man acted like that too, I would be equally as grossed out. Ugh.
I can tell you right now, if I was dating someone and they never offered to pay, I wouldn't be dating them. I can tell you that now. If they never offered to pay, I would not be dating them because I'd say, this is the most polite they're ever going to be.
Yeah.
And they're not even trying to pay now. What does that say about my future?
It's gonna get worse. That's what it says about your future.
Yep.
But look, let me come at this from a different angle. I will always treat my partner how I would treat my best friend.
True.
And I wouldn't apply a different standard to my partner than my best friend. I wouldn't say
go
to
as
my
hard
best
at
friend, let's
them,
always go out to dinner
and you go as
always
loving at
pay.
them.
I'd say let's be teammates here in whatever way we can. And maybe, by the way, proportionately, what you can do is less than what he can do. That's a different thing. If he says to you, I want to go stay at the top hotel in Big Sur this weekend.
Exactly.
And it's $1,500 a night. And you say,
Yes, the responsibility.
I don't have the money. It's his job to say, it doesn't matter. I didn't do it so you could pay. I did it because I want to go and I want to take you. Great. That's what that is, right? Or if you both agree to go on holiday and you have a fifth of his earning potential, you say, I want to contribute to a fifth of this holiday. It's overly simplistic, but you get what I'm saying, right? I will contribute on the level I can contribute. Let me tell you what means something to a guy. Trying. That means something to a guy. When he feels that you're not even trying to contribute, that's when he feels used. Because any guy who's really confident and self-respecting, if the woman never is even trying to contribute, he feels like he's being taken advantage of. And it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with the lack of gesture. So I would be looking at, if you like this guy, maybe if you're in different positions, figure out what you want to contribute proportionately or what you can contribute proportionately and treat him as you would your best friend.
I love the way that he explained this, and I think it's really beneficial for women to hear it explained in this way, especially when there are so many people online just saying that men should pay for everything all of the time, or that it should always be 50-50 necessarily. It depends so much on you and the dynamic that you have with the person that you're seeing. If you don't have a job and your boyfriend is a millionaire, he probably shouldn't expect you to contribute as much as he does financially. Maybe you contribute in other ways.
Emotionally,
It's like when you're a stay-at-home
example.
mom. You have to stay home with the kids. Your job is to take care of
care
the
of the
house and the
shit.
kids and make sure that everything is running at home. Your job is home. You still play a role. You play a huge role.
Play a
It
huge
just looks
role.
different than your husband's, whose
Yep.
role is bringing in the financials and working all the time, right? You still play a role, but there has to be a balance there, and you have to go in knowing what your role is and define that so that no one feels resentful or confused. Because as a woman, I can say this: if I didn't have a job, say I lost my job and
You
my
feel
boyfriend
useless.
was a millionaire, I would be so upset if he expected me to contribute 50-50, even though he's making all the money and I'm making nothing. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And when you care about someone, when you're a team, you help each other out. It's not always about what can you do for me? It's what can I also do for you? Because this is a two-way street and a mutually beneficial relationship that we should both be feeling respected and deserving of.
Yep.
Right? It's not all, what can you do for me? And if you go into something with that mindset, you have a bad attitude and you're not ready for a relationship because it's not all about you. The world doesn't revolve around you. And you gotta bring something to the equation as well. You can't just be dead weight being pulled around all the time. That's not the way the world works. So I thought that he did a really great job at explaining this. And as someone who gives advice to men, I see this conversation all the time in my comment sections. I had this conversation with my guy friends who, don't mind paying for the first date, but they're 10 dates in and the girl hasn't even said thank you. And they're like, what the heck? And I'm like, that is a red flag you should have seen from the beginning. So, again, watch how people respond and react to the things that you do for them. Actions speak louder than words. If you're paying for a girl all the time and she's not even saying
Actions
thank
speak
you,
louder
or
than
you don't
words.
feel like you're being appreciated at all, why are you seeing her? You're wasting your time. And I'll just give a personal example here. When I was in college, I was a server. I was paying my way through college. I had to pay off all my student loans. I didn't have any help with college. I paid for it all myself. I was a server, and I started dating my now fiance my senior year. And he had a big boy job. Like, he was making fine money, way more than I was making, obviously. And he always paid. On the first day
And
he
now?
paid, I offered to pay. He obviously wouldn't accept it and paid for the first couple dates. And then after the first few dates, he let me contribute what I could contribute. So maybe we would go out to dinner, and then afterwards we would go out for dessert or ice cream or something, and I would buy it. Or we would go out for coffee the next morning, and I would buy coffee and breakfast. Like, it's a give and a take. You gotta put something in to get something out of it, right? And even though I couldn't necessarily take us out to really nice dinners, I couldn't afford that, I contributed what I could, and I know he was appreciative of that, obviously. So, I don't know, I just don't love the entitled princess behavior that I see so commonly online these days, and just expecting people to do things for you and buy things for you and fly you out and pay for your luxury handbags. Like, it's getting crazy on TikTok, guys. Even on here, I'm like, whew, let's all come back down to earth, be a little bit realistic here. Crazy. And again, defining your role within your, and that works for you. Some people want that, some people don't. But making sure you're on the same page. Men unattractive says crazy study. And this was in 2018, so this is nothing new. I just recently found out about this. I didn't know about it. And I just wanted to offer, again, my perspective as a woman, which some of you care about, some of you don't. So this says, women are often thought of as picky, especially where men are concerned. True, we all know that from being on my channel and talking to different women. Some single women are known to have lists of characteristics that their ideal man must possess, like great abs, a sense of humor, a six-figure income, and a nice car. Sounds about right, give or take some, depending on the woman. When a woman meets a potential mate, she has to decide which of these traits are deal breakers and which she can let go. No matter how selective a woman might be, some have strict physical attributes from their must-haves list, as an OkCupid study found that women find 80% of men unattractive. OkCupid looked at their users and came up with this chart. It says, if you look at the gray line, you can see that women rate a whopping 80% of men as worse looking than medium. Oh, you're just medium ugly. That's pretty harsh, ladies, yeah. On the other hand, when it comes to actually making contact with a potential date, women shift their expectations only minimally ahead of the curve, which is better than the males who go after the women that are way out of their league. With basic ratings so off-kilter, the two curves suggest some unique interpretations of the female thought process. The most striking one is that the average-looking female believes that most men aren't hot enough for her, but she decides to message them anyway. Oh, yeah, this is nothing new here. I mean, if you ever watched Kevin Samuels in the past, you would have... And I don't want to sound mean when I say this, okay? I mean this in the most kind... Maybe kind is not the word. I mean this in the most respectful way. Very average-looking women would be on there requesting men who make over $100,000, who are over 6 feet. They want like a $200,000 engagement ring. The list of demands is just outrageous, right? Is every woman like that?
No.
I hope that from my channel you've gathered that not every single woman is looking for those things, but a lot of women have crazy unrealistic standards on their list of requirements, right? Nothing new. To show that some women may be operating on a very different scale, OkCupid shared some pictures of men who are fine looking. Some might say cute even, but that women have rated them as significantly less attractive than the so-called medium. Oh, first guy? 7, super cute. Cute, 7. 6. Probably 5.5. That's still medium. Okay, maybe none of them are Ryan Gosling, but if they weren't Ryan Gosling, would you still rate them high on the hot meter? From this, one might think that it's the female, not the male, who has unrealistic standards of what average men should look like. It seems like women are way beyond picky.
Oh, they don't care
so I
as
put
much.
together some thoughts of mine after reading this article of like, why are women so picky on dating apps specifically? My first thought here is just about dating apps in general. I think women have a tendency to be extra picky and extra harsh when they're on a dating app because you're quite
Because they had to
literally
be.
like comparing people that you're swiping through. You're swiping from one guy to the next.
No, they
and all
had
you
to
really
be.
have to base an opinion on is how attractive he is in his photos, right? Let's be honest. No one really reads bios and the rest of your profile as much as they are concerned with your photos. So if you're not that attractive and you suck at taking photos of yourself, you're screwed. So again, I do think the over-pickiness and harshness is elevated even more extreme. Again, when you're on a dating app in that scenario where you're swiping through men and you're seeing man after man after man and you're comparing them. You're always comparing
But you have to be picky
the
when
next guy to the last guy.
the other
last guy to
side
the
is
next.
always
I mean,
saying yes.
It's a very toxic situation if you think about it. And I don't think in-person real-life interactions are nearly as harsh. And I think also in-person interactions are much different because you're getting to experience a whole person. You're getting to experience the complexity of a human, the way they interact with you, their mannerisms, their voice. Just being in person with them, I think, is a much different experience than the way that you experience a person or a potential romantic interest on a dating app, especially when you're just swiping and looking through photos, and it's very surface level and shallow, basically just judging a person off of the way that they look and their appearance or how good their photos are. I mean, I've even had men submit their profiles to me for videos in the past where I went through their profiles and told them what maybe they could do better or where they were struggling or where they were doing a really good job. And something I saw commonly was a lot of these guys are attractive guys. I mean, 6, 7, 8, but their photos are where they really struggle. I think a lot of guys have a very hard time with photos. So you could even be an attractive guy, and if you're not the best at taking photos, that makes you look less attractive on your dating profile. So a ton of different things go into that. Ultimately, I think that dating apps are just
Meh.
they're just really tough. They're tough for guys who, again, aren't that good at taking photos or who maybe aren't the most conventionally attractive. So I've talked a ton about dating apps in the past on my channel. There comes a point when I think they're not really worth your time, but I think that this is kind of the future of dating, especially as people get more and more hesitant to approach because of, you know, getting roasted on TikTok or, you know, charged with harassment or whatever. So that's my thought about dating apps specifically and why women are maybe more picky in that scenario. But when you're in that situation of a dating app where, again, you're just comparing people and swiping and solely basing off attractiveness, I think that's when people get incredibly nitpicky. And I think ultimately this is why women give more harsh or very low ratings. Because you come across one guy and you're like, okay, well, he might be a 6, but what's the next guy going to look like? Like, because what I'm comparing him to might change the way I view him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a very complex, weird thing that we're doing as humans, like comparing people on a dating app. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. So then also here, there's a chart of how men rank women on the dating app versus how women rank men. And they're clearly, you know, pretty different. So I wanted to talk about why I think there are a lot of differences between the two. On dating apps specifically, it is no surprise that women get far more options and matches than men do. I mean, dating
Facts.
apps are skewed to be in the favor of women. I think there are also like 40-some or 30-some% of women on dating apps and 60-something% of men. So even the amount of men versus women is very skewed. There's a large difference. So women have so many more options than men do because there are way more men on the dating apps. So women are getting way more matches, way more messages, and therefore have more options. I mean, they genuinely do have more options because there are way more men on the apps than women. When you feel like you have more options, in return, it makes you feel like you're able to be more picky. And again, as the article mentioned, studies have shown this to be true for even, you know, average looking women or women who aren't maybe that attractive in the grand scheme of things either. And I don't say that to be hurtful or mean, but generally, like, people who are very average looking tend to still have unrealistic or very high standards for men. And I have found specifically that a lot of the women who have incredibly unrealistic standards for men or hold men to a very high standard hold themselves to very low standards. And that's true through things, even shows that we see here on YouTube like Kevin Samuels or Fresh and Fit or things like that. And you're seeing the way that women are justifying the way that they think and view men, and why they deserve certain things and why they're entitled to certain things. So again, that's nothing new here. We've seen that a lot here on YouTube. But I do think a big reason for this is because women feel as though they have more options, and on dating apps specifically, they do. So because there are more men on dating apps, that obviously increases the options for women and decreases the options for men. So when men are then rating women, they aren't getting as many matches. They aren't getting as many options. They aren't seeing as many. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan. I've talked about them in the past on my channel, but I've really only sat down and watched one of their videos, and that is the one with Hafiz, the roommates, and Fresh and Fit. And to be honest, the two main guys of Fresh and Fit didn't really talk a ton in the video that I watched. I don't know if they will necessarily in this one either, but the video that I'm going to be reacting to today is one of their most viewed videos. Let's get started.
Well, I think I bring feminine inspiration to the table. Like Kelly Rowland say, I'm gonna be your motivation. When you come home, I'm gonna be in lingerie. I'm gonna keep it nice and fresh and waxed for you. I'm gonna cook your food. You just gotta bring home the bacon. That's it.
Shit.
I don't ask for a lot.
Okay. I mean, okay, hold on.
See, I got you, I got you, right?
What's going on? Oh my god, the mics.
That's crazy.
It ain't regular. That's what men want.
I want to know, right?
You want that?
So, Mr. Organic is a high value guy, right?
Right.
I want to know from your brother, what do you look for in a woman? So you heard all these answers, right? What do you look for?
I mean, yeah, like, of course, most of them is gonna stand on they pretty, they gonna fuck you and all that. Come home, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, man. Like, we get that dime a dozen. Like, a nigga got bread, nigga. I'm 6'6", 230. I'm smooth. Even without the money, I had every woman I ever wanted. So, like, just because you're gonna be at my home when I come there cooking, I don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? I never needed it. You know what I'm saying? I need a girl that's gonna understand what I go through. Who's gonna keep a motherfucker on top of his toes. That's gonna push him and motivate him. You know what I mean? That's also gonna come with some ideas. You know what I mean? Give me creative criticism on my grind. You know what I mean? Also add to the table. You know what I mean? Not just trying to grab some food every time it's filled up. You know what I mean? You gotta bring something to this table. Like, fucking pussy is over with after a certain time.
Am I allowed to post it? I'm so confused.
In my life, I always have. That's not.
Is this monetized?
You know what I mean? Once you get money and once you was already having that, you gotta bring more. Your energy gotta be right. Your mind gotta be right. That body don't mean nothing after a while. You know what I'm saying? A nigga will fuck anything, man. So like, you could be the baddest bitch in the world. That's fine. Nigga gonna have you, and I'm gonna fuck a bitch, motherfucker, a 2 and a 3. A nigga will do that.
Yeah.
Happens all the time. You know what I'm saying? Jay-Z had Beyonce, he still fucks some other pussy. How could you beat that? Because he would just want some new pussy on his cock. So that ain't nothing, man. It's your energy, it's your mind, what you bringing to help me grow. That was gonna help us grow. That what counts.
Okay, I like that.
But a bad bitch brings inspiration that you will
not to
get.
no real nigga that already had that. If you got a fat, lame, rich nigga that need all that, I just want a bad bitch, that nigga, he's a square. He's a nobody.
Yeah.
But a nigga that been sufficient his whole life and got every girl he wanted, what is a bad bitch doing for me? That's nothing. We always had that. What you bringing more than just being it's a million bad bitches walking this earth. That's the cheapest and most easiest thing to get for a nigga got some money is a bitch and some pussy. You go to, like I said, you go to Brazil right now, it's gonna be a 10,000 bad bitch you've seen in your life. You give them bitches $1 and a coffee, and that bitch gonna lick your feet, man. That ain't that's worthless to a real nigga, man.
Right.
You gotta be a fat, slow brain, regular ass nigga that finally got some money to be imposed, and I got a bad bitch. Like, come on, man. Like, that's a different type of breed of human that they rock soft to that. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. Y'all get your money now. Go get all them niggas. But a nigga like me, that shit is like it's nothing. You know what I mean? Our energies gotta be connected. You know what I'm saying? We gotta grow together. That's the most important.
So you'll take a basic bitch that is somebody that you want to talk to over a bad bitch that will inspire you.
So you consider yourself a bad bitch?
No, yeah, I do actually.
So you
what is going on?
Well, you don't work. You don't have no attributes to the table here. Like, what
I
are we
do
talking
have
about?
attributes.
Like
I inspire my men.
How? You don't got no job. You got what's your education?
Listen,
Okay. I don't even know if I can post this. There's been so many cuss words, I've lost count. Your beauty does not inspire people. You have to bring something to the table that is not just the way that you look. And I think this is why I get so confused when men get mad at women that don't do anything besides like OnlyFans or make money off of the way that they look. They support that, but then they talk bad about it. This is why I always say it's so important to be with someone who has more going for them than just the way that they look. Because I'm sorry, but when you ask someone what they bring to the table, it should be a better answer than my body or I'm a bad B word. Like, what does that even mean? I want to be with someone who is encouraging, supportive, who cares about me and our future, who has values and goals and dreams that align with mine, that we can work towards building together. And the way that you look has nothing to do with any of that. And I would hope that men would feel the same way. Even more so than a woman would looking at a man. Like, as a woman, I want to be with a man who is ambitious, who is motivated, who is passionate, who is driven, who has goals and dreams and aspirations he wants to work for in life. And as a man, you should want to be with a woman who wants those things too. And who just doesn't want to mooch off of you and only bring to the table the way that they look. And there are plenty of beautiful women who have beauty and brains, who have amazing personalities and character, and they are always going to win over the ones who are just a shell, who just look pretty on the outside and have nothing to offer. When someone asks you what you bring to the table, it is embarrassing as a woman to say, I'm a bad bee, I bring my body to the table, or I'll be in lingerie. That's embarrassing. If that's all you have going for you, you need to work on your personal development and your character a little bit. Beauty will get you to a certain point in life, and that's amazing if you were blessed with beauty. But beauty fades. Beauty does not last forever. And what's on the outside will go away, so you're gonna have to at some point rely on what's in here and here. And if you don't have either one of those things, you're just a dud. And a guy who is actually high value, who is genuinely high value, who wants a woman who knows herself.
So you agree?
Who has standards, who has emotional intelligence, who has hobbies and passions and interests, who has goals, who isn't lazy, who isn't a mooch, should want a woman like that, and not like this.
But you have to realize that when men make it to a certain level, they're not checking for a woman's education.
They're not.
When you're making millions of dollars, you don't care about a woman's education.
Yes, you do.
Talk to plenty of rich men.
I do too.
Okay,
in a
2
state?
acres. Yes.
I would like to see the paperwork.
Okay, we can show you the paperwork.
Go ahead and show me the title.
We gotta show them paperwork to some.
All right, just to pause really quick, I understand why people watch this. It is very entertaining. The guests they have on this show are just out of this world. This girl and the girls I saw, the OnlyFans girls, you know, you do what you want, you make your money, but understand what it is. This is so entertaining. I feel like I'm watching like Jerry Springer or Maury.
Miseducated.
That don't make no sense.
Show me, pull up that deed. Can he pull up the deed? You don't even know what a deed is. You don't even know what a deed is?
Sound effects.
A deed to the...
Come on, man. You got a little residue underneath your nose, man.
He's certified.
But I get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying.
I see fucking with loser, fat, old niggas got money. I get it.
Nah, negative. But when you reach a certain level, you don't care if that girl works as a bottle girl. You don't care if this girl has a job. Like, you don't care because you already made it to a certain level.
It ain't about just want to suck the dick all the time.
The energy needs to be matched.
We need, it's bigger than
but
just.
But you saying because she doesn't have a job or work, she can't match your energy?
It don't matter. I'm talking about you personally on the
But you don't know me personally.
I can tell you ain't got no brain.
Honey, I worked in corporate finance. What are you talking?
So why are you not employed now?
Because I don't want to be.
So you want to be a slave to a man with some money?
No, honey. I want to be an inspiration with some money.
How you going to inspire? Please.
What does she mean by inspiration?
Baby, I just told you. Obviously, you weren't listening.
I'm listening quite fine. See you coming in lingerie, but
no, you wasn't listening though.
Like,
you wasn't listening.
Okay, I got you. I won't listen.
Yikes. Okay. The best advice I can give all of you guys out there, when you're looking for a woman, I'm not going to hate on this girl, because this is just one small 5-minute clip taken out of context completely. So I'm not going to be super specific about this girl, but I think it's important. This is why I stress this so much on my channel. Find a girl with substance. Even if she's not a 10 out of 10 baddie or Instagram model, that should not matter as much as finding someone who has a brain and a heart. Okay? I understand you want to be with a beautiful woman, and it's important to be physically attracted to the person that you're with, but have you ever been emotionally and mentally attracted to someone? Because that is so much more powerful than physical attraction. When you're attracted to the way someone thinks, to their ideas, to what they bring to the table, not just the way that they look, that is a whole new level of attraction that I promise you guys
For
is so
you.
much more substantial and real than just
not
liking
more,
the way
it's
that
equal.
someone looks. You can be a great partner and an amazing woman and still have your own thing going on.
Yeah.
You don't just have to look good all the time. You should want to learn. You should want to evolve and grow and be the best version of you that you can be so that you can be a better partner to your future husband. And same goes for you guys. You should want to be the best you can be so that you're a better partner. When you become the best version of yourself, you're a better friend. You're a better son or daughter. You're a better partner. You're a better person. I'm getting too deep into this now, but really I just want to say, guys, do not date someone just because of the way that they look, because you will always be disappointed in the end. Looks can only get you so far. And I know they seem great, and I know it seems amazing to date an Instagram model with a big juicy butt who looks amazing on camera, but they've got to have something in here and here. And I'm sure a ton of them do, but this is not a good representation of that. And it makes me sad that some of you guys, this is the only content you're consuming or the only type of girl that you're seeing, and you think that all women are like that,
No,
and
we
we're
don't.
not, I promise. And maybe they've had different types of women on their channel too. I don't know because I haven't seen anything else, but I will say I understand why people watch. It's entertaining. I saw the interview between them and Hafiz, and
Hi,
they
everyone.
seem
Welcome back to-
like guys that just want to help in a different way. I think that's what's so great about YouTube. Like I've said before, you know, my approach is very different than theirs. And what works for one of you guys might not work for another one of you guys, and you might need to hear it this way. So whatever works for you, that's great. I don't even know if I can post this because of the language, but if I do end up posting this and you're seeing this right now, just understand that looks are not everything, and beauty should not be the only thing that you rely on, men or women watching this. You can be beautiful and be beautiful on the inside as well, which is far more important in my opinion. So that's all I have for today. To my channel, if you're new here, I'm Courtney Ryan, and over on my Instagram last week, I asked you guys, who are the people that you want me to react to? Who are some content creators? The first one I'm going to react to is called One Thing Red Pill Guys Ignore.
The men who are out here only trying to have sex with women and have no emotional connection, they're weirdos. A lot of this red pill, how to get girls stuff, a lot of them are like that as well. They're like the peak masculine life is just to have a bunch of women that you barely know, and that's stupid. That's fucking ridiculous, right? Every man, if you want to have a good life, you need to have a good relationship with a good woman. When you get sick, it's your woman who's going to care, not your boys, right? But you can love her and she can love you with all her heart. You can love each other. You can be prepared to take a bullet for her. And still fuck other bitches.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? It's no big deal. We gotta do, we gotta do, we gotta do. The men who are out here only trying to have sex.
Okay, this video started off incredibly strong. You could probably tell by my face. I was like, all right, this is gonna be good. I like this guy. I like what he has to say. I do think that men who just go around and try to sleep with as many women as possible end up feeling empty. A sense of emptiness, a sense of a lack of fulfillment almost, because I do think having an emotional connection is just unmatched in comparison. And I do think it's kind of gross, I think, when guys brag about how many girls they slept with. That's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of other girls feel the same way, but it's incredibly unattractive and a turnoff to me when a man has slept with a ton of girls. I would never want to be with a guy who had slept with a ton of girls, and especially someone who was bragging about it. Secondly, though, we get into the second part of the video here, and he says you can be with a woman and have an emotional connection with her, but still be with other people. And I know there's a large group of people, and I think it's becoming more popular to be polyamorous, right? I think this is something that is increasing in popularity, and you know, to each their own. It's not my cup of tea. I would simply never participate or be with a man who is doing that. That is something I view as cheating, and I would never allow that in my relationship. But you know, some things work for other people. A lot of couples like to be polyamorous and be with other people. Do I agree with it? Not really, but I just simply am not about that life. So I don't agree with what he says, and it kind of goes back to this thing that I see a lot with like Fresh and Fit clips of like, oh well, all these high value men or these 1% men, they're allowed to cheat. And I just simply don't agree. I don't think that someone who is high value, or you know, a guy with integrity, or a guy that a high value woman would want to be with, would be doing that, would be sleeping around with other people. I think there is so much power in being with one person. And again, that's just my personal opinion. You guys are watching to get my reaction and my opinion, and that's just what I think. So I'm not going to sit here and bash him or say he's wrong, because that's his opinion, and he's allowed to have that opinion, and I'm allowed to have mine, and we can coexist, right? So I don't agree. It started off strong. I do think it's great to have an emotional connection with someone, and I think it's a lot more fulfilling and meaningful to have
Woman is with you for the wrong.
gold diggers.
Do you ever worry that a woman is with you for the wrong reasons, and therefore do you ever hide how successful you are?
That's a good question, and I think you have to look at it under a different frame. If she's only with me because I am tall, strong, rich, and successful, and smart, and interesting, and charismatic, and humble,
and funny.
if she's only with me for those things, and I'm only with her because she's beautiful and shuts the up, who's more shallow? You. So who cares?
That was actually a really good point. I see a lot of men talk about, oh, well, she's only dating him for his money and whatever. And of course there are girls out there who are just straight up gold diggers. They don't like the guy. They think the guy's ugly. They are just using him for his money. You know, you see all these young, beautiful women getting with older men who are maybe not the best in the looks department, but they're billionaires. And, you know, a lot of them are just with them for the money. But then, you know, a lot of these men who have money and resources and who are, you know, tall or handsome or whatever it is, or just attractive or have money, they're only dating women because of the way that they look. So you could argue that both are just as shallow. This I actually do agree with. However, I do think that there are people out there that are simply with someone because they love them and they care about them and they like who they are as a person. They like who maybe they are on the inside. I know sometimes when you get on social media, it seems like everything is so surface level and shallow, and that's all that people care about. But I promise that there are just straight up normal people. And if you've never seen that or been exposed to it, you probably just, you know, say, oh, that's all cap. She's lying. And I get it because you've never witnessed that or experienced that. But I do think that there are just very normal people that are with someone because they want to build a family with them, build a life with them, you know, build their wealth together, or just build a life together in general, and aren't so concerned with, oh, he's a millionaire, or oh, she looks like a model, you know, kind of looking at it from both perspectives. So yeah, I do agree with him. I think that both are equally as shallow. And if you're a guy who is dating all these beautiful women just because they're beautiful and you don't really like anything else about them, and you're worried about a girl using you for your money, you're kind of both doing that to each other, I guess, in a way. Let me know what you guys think down below, but the whole thing is really interesting, and I do think, you know, I've made videos before about what attracts women, like according to science, what do women look for? I've talked about hypergamy and things like that, and women, we are just biologically wired to look for a man who can provide, who make us feel safe and secure, who has resources. And then on the flip side, men are wired differently. Men and women are different. Shocker, woke, surprise, surprise. I mean, some people will be baffled that I even say that, but it's just the cold hard truth and the cold hard facts. So I'm not even going to apologize for saying it because it's just true. It's just true according to science, right? Men and women are wired differently. Men look for someone who, you know, is beautiful, is visually appealing, who they can create offspring with. Friends. You guys do ask me about that a lot, so I'll react to this one. Oh.
I don't see the point in having female friends. Any real G out there knows it's true. You got your girl or your girls who you're f***ing. You got the girls who you're trying to f***. And there ain't really room for that chick. Well, I don't want to ever f*** him. I just want to sit here and talk and waste his time and he can buy me dinner. No, I don't need female friends. If I tell a girl we're going to f*** and she goes, I don't want to f*** you, I say, okay, well, we ain't going to talk anymore. What the f*** we going to talk about now? We ain't going to f***, so we're going to talk about Vampire Diaries? Get the f*** out of here.
Okay. I see why so many of you guys wanted me to react to him because he's very polarizing. He's very, says it like it is, blunt. You know, when we're on the topic of should men and women be friends or can men and women be friends, I know there are a lot of different conversations and opinions surrounding that specific topic. And, you know, I will say from a woman's perspective here, in high school, I had like a group of friends, and there were some men in my group of friends. There were some guys that I was friends with, and all of them at some point liked me, and it ruined our friendship because they could not just be friends with me. And so I look at it from that perspective, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that men can be friends with a woman unless they are not attracted to her, because they're going to fall for her, and it's going to create so much unnecessary just chaos in your life, and I just don't necessarily know if it's worth it. At my old job, I was a photography stylist, and I was friends with one of the photographers. We were pretty good friends at work, and you know, that was fine. So I don't know. It's hard for me because I think the way men view it and the way women view it are very different. And then there's women who will say, well, a man should just be able to be friends with a woman without being attracted to her. But men just like don't really work that way. I mean, I see what he's saying too, and you know, I think if you're a guy and you're in a relationship, you don't really need to have female friends. The same way as, you know, if I'm a girl in a relationship, I don't need to have a guy best friend. It's just kind of strange. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I might make an entire video on this topic because I think it's interesting, but a lot of the time I will say, I just think if you're friends with a girl and you're a guy and you're like so in love with her, it's just going to create so much drama and stress in your life that you would just be better off without it, you know? And maybe it depends on your personality. Maybe there are guys and girls out there who, you know, flourish having friends of the opposite sex. Maybe if you're a girl who is really into a lot of things that men like to do, and maybe you're not really girly or have a lot of girlfriends, maybe it could work for you and vice versa. So I think maybe it just depends on the person, but it's going viral about some video from, and let's get a conversation going down in the comments.
So, Schluss für heute. War gut.